Well, y'all, we are currently in the middle of a thunderstorm, so you might hear some rumbling. It's not my tummy, it's the Lord. We had a tornado, what do you call it? A tornado watch. I don't know if anything touched down. There was some, I believe they call it vortices that may have formed, some wisps that may have gotten kicked up. So, the remnants of that, I guess, is the this thunderstorm. And it is a bad mamma jamma. Bad mamma jamma. Just as fine as she can be. She's a bad mamma jamma. Hi, Tabitha. How are you, dear? I'm going to bring you up in just a second. I got to put my microphone on. See, I can take rain. I can take just a little, just, normal spring rain. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm not that kind of girl. I'm not that kind of girl. All right, let's bring up Miss Tabitha. It's also really hot here. Like it's crazy. I can't even concentrate. I'm sweating. Hi, Tabitha. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Hello, hello.
And it looks like you are talking. Oh, wait a minute. It's me this time. No, it's me. It was me.
It was you?
It was me. I have receipts.
Oh my goodness. As long as it's not me, but I'm sure it wasn't you. I'm sure we can blame the techno universe for it.
You know what? Let me change my picture because what is this thing trying to do? We got a new logo with new backgrounds, and it looks different depending on the size of the box. So when we're a big box, it looks wonderful. When we're a small box, you sometimes can't see the top of the graphic. Mm-hmm. So I thought, why don't I just change the thing so that when they do the thing, and then it still looks crazy, but it's okay. We can't be perfect, can we, Tabitha?
We cannot be perfect. We are human beings.
We are human beings. How are you this evening?
I am human. How are you?
I am also human. I am. I promise.
Uh-huh. Did I hear you're having a rainstorm?
Yeah, we had a tornado watch, and then they even sounded the sirens and everything. I couldn't believe it.
Ooh.
And now we're dealing with the
if you
remnants.
disappear all of a sudden, then we'll know why.
Yes. You'll know the
Do you have your safe space?
I do have a basement. We have basements here in Ohio.
Excellent.
I was in the basement for an hour watching the news, and then they said, it's safe. You can get out of the basement. I was like, okay. They were like, but there's going to be a thunderstorm. So I don't know. Like, okay. All right, fine. So Tabitha, welcome to Our Vote Counts. Everyone in the audience, welcome to Our Vote Counts TikTok Live, Town Hall. Tabitha, if you don't mind, could you share this with your people, with your followers?
Yeah.
You know how to repost and add it to your story?
I think I do, yes.
Okay. I'm also going to send this out to my friends. You know, my friends, I have friends, Tabitha, and they always say, oh, I'm going to come by and see you on the show that you do. They'll never come see me on the show.
I know, right?
Listen,
Listen,
Why?
people say that they're busy, but how could they possibly be anything better to do than to hang out with us?
I don't know. I
Can't. I
honestly,
can't.
my flabbers are gasted. Honestly.
I enjoy you greatly, Ayana. It's
No,
nice to
thank
meet you.
you. I'm so glad. I'm glad my personality resonates with some people.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Same.
Okay, let me turn. Oh, Lordy, turn that down. Okay. All right. Let's see, Tabitha. Let me find your research. I was just looking at it. Tabitha. I love saying your name. Forgive me if I say it over and
You.
over. I love that name so much. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you. It is biblical.
Right.
Yes. In the 9th chapter of Acts, there is a woman named Tabitha, and she is well known in her community of Joppa because she always would make clothing for the poor folks. And she made sure that she was, clothing the naked. And she dies. Woe
Aww.
to the world. She dies. And it's as Peter is coming through town, and they're like, Peter, our favorite Tabitha, she died. What should we do? And 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 she's and they're like she's here. So they bring in Peter, and Peter, who has never done this before, he's like, Tabitha, get up.
Did
And
she
he
get up?
raises her from the dead.
Peter.
And I know, it's the only time in the Bible that somebody other than Jesus raises someone from the dead.
Wow.
And it's because this woman was beloved of her community for what she did for the poor.
Oh, so it wasn't because he needed some clothes. And she had the key. She had the key. She had the key to the
key to the
shed
closet.
where the clothes were being held.
Right.
She was the only
that
one.
could be a lesser known
I'm kidding.
apocryphal version of the story.
I'm kidding. I know it's not the reason. I know. I actually attended a Catholic university, so I'm very familiar with the
There
Bible.
you go. Yes.
Not being a Christian myself, I am familiar with some of the stories. I had never heard that one, but that is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Beautiful.
No pressure, but try to be good enough that people will want to raise you from the dead.
I mean, but can women get some rest, please?
Ugh.
Can we?
Probably not. The other great Tabitha reference, of course, is Tabitha of Bewitched. So I don't know if you watch that TV show, but the mom is Samantha.
Yes.
And the daughter is Tabitha. And Samantha could wiggle her nose and make things happen, and Tabitha couldn't. So she'd have to do this to wiggle her nose.
Oh. So which one are you named after?
So I'm named after the kid. Well, I'm named after the biblical character, supposedly. But
well, okay, we've please,
Yes.
serious business. You are running for state senate. This is serious, okay? Let's put our serious faces on.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Our Vote Counts, Tabitha and others. A nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in the upcoming elections. Our Vote Counts is more than a name. It is a promise, a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. And this evening, who are we featuring? Tabitha Isner, our candidate of integrity for the evening. Well, actually, you're not our first one. I'm sorry. We had one before you, but you are not second to him, but second candidate of the evening.
Yes.
Tabitha, wait a minute, Tabitha. That's why you knew that story really well, because it says here that you're a minister. You tried to hide that little fact from me. I'm just thinking, oh, she's just an ordinary person who just knows the Bible very well. No, she's a minister. Mm-hmm. Tabitha is a minister, a community leader, and a policy expert who was born. You were born on July 16th. I was born on July 18th. Oh, yes! Oh my God! In Dallas, Texas, and she now lives in Montgomery, Alabama, where she has built her life around service, education, and community engagement. She is the vice chair of the Alabama Democratic Party and the co-founder of Atlas for Democracy. Wonderful. Tabitha enjoys connecting with people, mentoring, and participating in community and faith-based initiatives. Tabitha, you are running to unseat Kirk Hatcher, the Democrat.
Not exactly true.
No? Oh.
No.
Has there been a change? Has there been a change?
There's drama. There's drama in Montgomery, Alabama.
What's tea, honey? What's tea?
Well, so here in Alabama, we have lots of racial gerrymandering that happens.
Yeah.
And the NAACP sued the state of Alabama for their claiming the map was racially gerrymandered, particularly in Montgomery. And so there are two districts that cover Montgomery, District 25 and District 26.
Yes, I read that.
And they said it was inappropriate that one district had all the Black residents of Montgomery were packed into one district, and it was overwhelmingly Black. And then the other district was cracked, as they say. So it had very few Black voters in it, so that it was a safely Republican district. So we had one safely Democratic district and one safely Republican district by having one heavily Black district and one lightly Black district. So
one light-skinned district and one dark-skinned district. Got it.
Correct. Yes. So everything's racial in Alabama.
Unfortunately,
is a reality. So, but that NAACP suit was successful, and so the map has been redrawn. So while Kirk Hatcher is the Democrat who represents District 26 right now, he will not be running for District 26 this year.
Oh.
So he is the incumbent in 26, but he is going to switch districts and he's going to run in 25.
Okay.
And the Republican who is in 25 has switched and he's going to run in 26 against me.
Oh. He thinks he can do that. Okay.
They do think they can do that. People keep asking me, how is that allowed? And I'm like, don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So what is the name of this person? Wait a minute. Before you tell me that, Tabitha, I want to know more about you and why you decided to run for office.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm a very religious person. And unlike many Christians, I grew up in the kind of church that was all about social justice, loving your neighbor, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, all of those kinds of things. And so I have always wanted to make the world around me a better place and to figure out how can we be in community with other people, even though we know those people are going to hurt each other.
Right.
So I think that's the task of religion, is to figure out what do you do with trying to help people want to be good and nice to each other, but also knowing that they're not gonna be. How do you do forgiveness and reconciliation and community and unity? That's the task of church. It's also the task of civic life. How do you get people who are imperfect human beings to nonetheless come together and take care of each other and be able to live in community together? So for me, comes from a religious conviction. And over time, I've just gotten deeper and deeper into politics, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to run for this seat.
All right. I'd love to hear that. So Tabitha, let me just make it clear for the people.
Yeah.
You are running in District 26. Okay. The district is entirely within Montgomery County, Alabama, correct?
No. It is also Elmore County, Alabama.
And Elmore County. Okay. Montgomery and Elmore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It is mainly Black. I'm looking. Is it mainly Black?
44% Black.
44% Black. Okay. 44% Black. It has a nice racial mix. Your population is around 146,000 to 147,000 people. A lot of people. That is a lot of people. So that's the district you're running to represent at the state Senate level. Tabitha, you have lived in Texas and Alabama, and apparently both of these places have something in common. Barbecue. Which one? Which one? Because I'm in Ohio. We have Polish boys. We don't do barbecue. I'm so sorry. Which one of these places has the better barbecue meat?
Yes. Well, I like my barbecue meat real tender, and therefore I'm an Alabama barbecue fan. But to be fair, I only lived in Texas for 4 years.
Oh,
and
well.
so I don't remember those years very well. I was
just
a child,
just a
small
pup,
child,
just a pup,
just a baby.
They didn't give you a rib when you were a baby.
Of,
there's no picture of you holding a barbecue rib when you were a baby.
There might be. But I've lived other places. I'll tell you, St. Louis has some decent barbecue. I went to college there and lived there for a while. And I lived in Minnesota. They don't have barbecue. Bless them. Yeah, I lived a few other places. But anyway, I've lived a lot of places, and I have lived Alabama the longest, and it's home.
Okay. Well, Alabama, I'm sure, loves you and can't wait to welcome you as their next state senator for District 26. I am putting it into the atmosphere. We're going to claim it. We're claiming it, yes. Tabitha. Now,
thank you.
Let's get down to the hard part here, the questions. First, we're going to go over, where are my manners? You all are in this space. We got a few people in here. Please be kind in the comments. I know that we have sometimes trolls. If you want to troll, fine. Just be nice. Please use TikTok-friendly language. That includes you, Miss Isner. Please. TikTok-friendly language. Okay. You know, don't say things like ABORTION, MURDER, DEAD. Just, find softer words to use.
Okay.
Yeah, TikTok likes a soft landing for your sentences. Also, please like the live, share it out, tap the screen. Now, back to the questions. Montgomery has repeatedly asked for more local control on wages, taxes, zoning, and public safety. What's one specific power you will fight to return to the city? And how will you get it done in a legislature that often overrides Montgomery?
Yes, I was just down at the State House today, dealing with the legislature wanting to override Montgomery again. So today the issue was the Montgomery Police Department, which admittedly is struggling. But the answer, apparently, according to the legislature, is that the state should take over the Montgomery Police Department.
Oh.
And there's a lot of backstory here that's important to know about Alabama and home rule. So Alabama generally does not allow home rule. We have things on our ballots. We have constitutional amendments on our ballots to increase the insurance provided to the sheriff in Coleman County. And the whole state has to vote on stuff like that because we don't allow home rule. And the reason we don't allow home rule is because of the 1901 Constitution in Alabama. You can imagine the sorts of things that were happening around 1901. Some localities in Alabama were majority Black. And so Black leadership was making rules for a Black community. And the white men in Montgomery did not like that. And so they put in place this new constitution that took power away from localities and made sure that the white men in Montgomery could always overrule local Black leadership. And it was explicitly for racial reasons that they were doing this. And that Constitution still stands today in Alabama. So when you see something like this happen, and Senator Hatcher, who currently represents part of Montgomery, when he says, this feels racial, it's not just that it feels racial, it's that it's based on the 1901 Constitution, and it was racial. So we're having, all sorts of conversations right now about home rule. And that's one that passed the Senate today. I imagine it will probably pass. And that's a great example of something that I would have voted against, and would fight against that sort of thing happening we need for local folks to, oh, sorry, getting weird notifications on my phone. We need for, if the people of Montgomery want something different from their leadership, there's this wonderful thing we have called elections, and we could
Right.
elect a new mayor, a new city council, new county commission. If we want change, we know how to make it happen, and we, the people, reserve the right to do so. Another great example would be the Public Service Commission. There's talk right now about turning Alabama's Public Service Commission into an appointed body, or keeping it as an elected body, but having an energy czar, a secretary of energy who oversees that body. These are all attempts to reduce the power of the people to control the Public Service Commission. And I've been fighting it tooth and nail, and I'll keep fighting it.
So what do you think about and I'm so sorry. I am boiling. I am boiling. What do you think about I can't even remember what I was just about to ask you, something so very important. How do you feel about your party's leadership? What do you think about the governor, the job that the governor is doing in your state to bring the state sort of out of its it receives a lot of, jokes and backlash, and, people talk about it like it's the pariah of the nation. Do you think your governor is doing a very good job of dispelling that, or do you just see the leadership as being a failure?
Yeah, I would say that our state leadership, including Governor Ivey, are the Republican. Let me be clear: the Republican leadership is 100% committed to maintaining that reputation for Alabama. They are proud to be a place where women don't have a lot of rights. They are proud to be a place where guns have all the rights. They
Pew
are
pews.
proud to be
Pew pews.
pew pews. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm
No, it's
just
it's,
not.
it's okay.
Yes, I'm not well trained. I'm
It's
not well trained.
okay.
Thank you.
It's okay.
It's okay. They are, trained to, or they very much are committed to maintaining that reputation for the state of Alabama. And, we, again, today on the Senate floor, discussion about putting the 10 Commandments in the schools, never mind the fact that we, have a First Amendment, never mind that, we have real problems in Alabama that need to be solved. Our education system is at the bottom of the barrel. And that, I don't know whether they earnestly think that putting the 10 Commandments in the school is going to improve education for Alabama children, or if they're just pandering.
Sounds like it might be
But
pandering.
it doesn't matter which one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one. That is who they are.
Yeah.
And they're happy to keep doing that stuff rather than try to solve the problems that are so very real in Alabama. Can I name one? Can I
go ahead.
Name one,
Absolutely.
for example?
Take charge,
So,
Tabitha.
did you know that in Alabama, the average life expectancy is 72 years, whereas in Massachusetts, the average life expectancy is 82 years.
Oh, wow. Did you hear that? Blessings? Blessings is one of our moderators. She lives in Massachusetts. You're going to live forever, honey.
You're going to live forever.
Yeah.
So I would like 10 more years, personally.
Okay.
And I'm offended that we don't get to have those 10 more years simply because we are Alabama. But, the 5 million people who live in this state should be able to get those 10 more years. And there are real things that we could do to get that. We see what the policies are in other places, and we know we could expand Medicaid.
Right. I was just going to ask you, what would give you those 10 more years?
Yeah, absolutely. Expanding Medicaid is huge. We have a monopoly on healthcare in Alabama. Blue Cross Blue Shield holds, I think it's 85% of the market.
Wow.
And so people don't really have choices here about what kind of health insurance they have. And we have an extremely high rate of accidental deaths. And that's because, like many places, we have farms. And if something happens on the farm, you called 911, and in Alabama, it's going to be an hour.
Ugh.
So
Yeah.
the an accident that doesn't need to be a death becomes a death because we don't have emergency services that are available. We don't have a hospital that's within a reasonable distance. Same thing, our maternal rates, our rates of survival for children and moms are lower. And that's because we just don't have the same kinds of services here. It's an extraordinary number of people who would have to drive 50 miles or more to get access to a birthing center. These are all things that are very fixable if we really cared about giving people 10 more years. And I think for a state that claims to be pro-life, 10 years is a long time.
What lives
And
are you
we should
talking
give
about,
people
Tabitha? I mean, if you were to give me that spiel, tell me that I could get an extra 10 years if I voted differently, I'd be like, okay, where's the voting booth? I sign me up. Sign me up.
Yep.
So what do you think is making the difference in Alabama where people are not really switching their politics to align with something that could extend their life, save their life? What do you think is the fault here?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ayana. And it's something we talk a lot about here. Part of the issue, I think, is that there's a historical pattern here of the big mules is what we call them, but the big corporate interests, the powerful players, having total control over the state to the point where people feel like it doesn't matter if I vote because it's predetermined what's going to happen. And, that's how gerrymandering works. Like, because of gerrymandering in our state, there are only about 5 districts in the state that are competitive. And by competitive, I mean like the vote is likely to come in between 45 and 55%. Like the distance between the two candidates will be 45, 55. In all the other, let's see, how many is that? 135 other seats. There are 140 legislative seats in Alabama. So 135 of them, the candidate's going to win with at least 56, 60, 70% of the vote.
Ooh, wait.
They're not close.
Wow.
They're drawn to be like that. So they just protect incumbents. And so, you can work really hard to get a 3-point swing. Like a really good candidate can get a 3-point swing. 3 points doesn't get you anything in Alabama. And so voters start feeling like it always comes out the same way, no matter whether I show up or I don't, no matter whether we're excited about the candidate or not. So why bother? And that's why I think when we do get a competitive seat, like the one that I got, I only have it. It's only competitive because the NAACP sued for a competitive district.
Yep.
But when they show up, we have to take full advantage of them and show people that there's a real race to be had, and remind people of their power as voters.
And that's the point of gerrymandering, I think, is to suppress votes and disenfranchise people. And it works because, again, people go, well, what's the point? If it's already predetermined, I'm not going to vote at all. And therefore, it has worked. And that is an unfortunate fact of American politics that not a lot of voters are clued into. They're doing this on purpose so you will feel defeated and not show up. But if you show up and you vote, go ahead.
I was going to say, and we're one of the few states that has straight ticket voting. So when you show up to vote in Alabama, at the top of your ballot, there's a box, there's a bubble that you can fill in for straight Republican or straight Democrat. And you fill in that one bubble and you can go home.
Wow.
And so you don't have to go through and vote for each individual candidate. You can just fill out that one bubble and turn in your ballot. And most states have gotten rid of that option if they ever had it because it encourages uninformed voting.
Yeah. Do they think you're a little slow or something? Is that why they do this?
I mean,
not that you are. You're not. But that suggests to me that they think you're low information, low brain voters.
They want us to be low brain voters, low information voters. And I think part of it too is, there are a lot of Republicans in Alabama who don't like all of their candidates. They think of themselves as Republicans, but maybe they don't like Tommy Tuberville. The man doesn't know what the branches of government are, so...
I don't like Tommy Tuberville, and I live in Ohio.
Nobody likes Tommy Tuberville. Right. So there are a lot of Alabama Republicans who don't like Tommy Tuberville. So they don't want to vote for Tommy Tuberville, but they do want to vote straight Republican. They can fill in the straight Republican bubble and tell themselves that they never voted for Tommy Tuberville.
People of Earth. Please.
I think that's how people end up using that option. It's a way to have plausible to forgive yourself for voting for someone who is not good for the state.
How do you? But maybe I'm too smart. Am I too smart? Are you too?
Yes, correct.
Because this makes absolutely no sense to me. You can't do the thing and then go, well, I didn't do it, so it's not really my fault. It's someone else's fault. Whose fault is it? Votes don't appear out of thin air, according to some in government. So where did they come from?
Well, George Wallace was elected here not that long ago.
That is true.
People are still alive who voted for George Wallace. And if you go out and ask people in Alabama if they ever voted for George Wallace, you can't find anybody who ever voted for him. He won with huge margins of victory. And yet people lie to themselves all the time and don't want to believe that they're part of the icky stuff that they're part of.
They're part of the problem.
I want people, people laugh about Republicans fall in love, Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. I don't know if you've heard that. Democrats, we want to love our candidates.
Yeah, we do.
We want to be obsessed with them and really love them. And Republicans are like, I'll do what I need to do to have my Republican. And I want people to be able to love their candidate, or at least have a sense of excitement about what's possible with a candidate. But that requires that we have qualified, talented people. And again, it goes back to gerrymandering. You don't have to be qualified, talented, passionate to win a race. And when that race was pre-won.
And your state does not allow early voting, unlike most of the other states. There's no early voting.
No early voting. And in order to vote by mail, you have to have an approved reason. An approved reason. Yes. And if it turns out that you're lying about your reason, you're in big trouble.
What is the wisdom behind this? I feel like I'm asking you to explain Alabama to me. I feel so terrible. That's all right. Sorry. That's all right. Let's get back to your platform, because this is we're not going to solve this here. We're not going to solve it. So the public schools of Montgomery have some of the highest needs in the state. What is the minimum increase in state funding you believe the school system needs, and where would you find the money? Yeah. So I would say probably the most easy and obvious thing to talk about is the CHOOSE Act in Alabama. So the CHOOSE Act is a school choice bill in Alabama that allows, it started out as only low-income families would have the option. Low-income families and families with children with special needs could switch their children to a private school and take their public dollars with them to the private school. So that has been expanded in Alabama, and it is now an enormous number of people and an enormous percent of families in Alabama who can take advantage of that money. And it's mostly families who were already in private school, who are not moving their child from public school to private school, who were already in private school and are now just taking money out of the public schools. Wow.
So
Yeah.
the first thing that, the easy answer here is our public schools would do a lot better if they weren't losing all of that money to private schools. And the irony too is that we're passing laws like you must put the 10 Commandments in schools, and you must sing the national anthem in the morning, and you must, and you must, and you must. Those things only apply to the public schools at the same time that we are giving public money to all of these private schools. It's outrageous. The other thing that I would say, the other very obvious way to put more funding into education in Alabama would be to have a lottery. Now, I don't like gambling. Personally, not into it. I don't like it. I worry that lotteries are a tax on poor folks, because poor folks are more likely to put money into the lottery and they don't get that money back.
Right.
So I worry about it. But on the other hand, Alabama is not far from Georgia, not far from Mississippi, not far from Florida. Like, people just drive over the borders and give those states their money. And so I'm getting over my moral resistance to it, to say we have got to fund education. And if having a lottery in Alabama would allow us to do that, let's do it. But it needs to be for public schools, not for private schools. And I say that as a mom who has her kid in private school. I put my kid in private school. I don't have a problem with parents making that choice. The issue is it's about public funds and accountability. And the private schools are not. Our public funds should not be going to a private religious school where they don't have to follow the same rules, the same regulations. That's not what public education is about.
And they don't have to make accommodations for special needs children. That's huge.
Yep.
Yep. In Ohio, we do have the lottery, and they do take tax money from that. But what they do is they don't add, it's not in addition to the budget. They reduce the state giving by the amount of tax revenue they receive from the lottery. So it's not extra money. It's just, hey, now we can redirect some of this to something stupid like Charlie Kirk Day or something. So, yeah.
Hey, listen, don't say that out loud in Alabama, because it'll happen.
I'm so sorry.
Don't put that bad.
We'll cut that out. Hey, host, cut that out. Cut that part out. But it's I don't know what's happening to the world. I don't know. So Alabama has one of the most regressive tax systems in the country. Do you support eliminating the state grocery, tax entirely? And how would you replace the revenue?
Yes. Well, I think you slipped up and said it, which is that property taxes are insanely low here. So yes, I support getting rid of the grocery tax. That's a very regressive tax. And I think we should increase our property taxes. One great thing about Alabama is that the cost of living here is very reasonable. Yeah. So, we can afford to have some property taxes. And, one of the huge problems that we've had historically in Alabama is that certain kinds of land are taxed at it's always crazy, but certain types of land in Alabama are taxed at an insanely crazy low level. So, for example, like all of our woodlands that are being used for that natural resource are taxed at a crazy low rate. And of course, it goes back to the 1901 Constitution and how these men were able to maintain their wealth and power. Always comes back to that darn Constitution. The world's longest Constitution is right here in Alabama.
Oh, what a nice record to hold. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Someone in the chat says that the gas tax is insane. How are you guys handling? Because I know how we're handling it. How are you handling the increase in your face in gasoline prices the last few weeks?
Yes. Well, the Alabama solution is to blame Biden.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well,
yeah, yeah, I know. Bad
he's
joke.
somewhere eating an ice cream cone. He's not thinking about us.
I know, and I'm
Yeah.
happy for him. Uh, yeah, no, there is some discussion of taking the gas tax away in Alabama while this is going on.
Do you support
And I
that?
support anything. I don't think it's going to get past this legislative session, and I hope this issue is done before. I hope this Iran war is over before, sooner than later. I think that we do have to have some taxes in Alabama because we don't have services, and if we want those 10 more years, we're going to need certain things to exist in Alabama that exist in other places. And I think we have to talk to people for real about what it takes to run a government that gives you a good life, that gives you those 10 more years. And there are other places where I'd rather see us cut costs. And one of those is the electric, is people's
You
electric
saw that
bills.
in the chat?
So I did. Great point. Very timely as well. So I think I mentioned a little bit about Alabama Power, but Alabama Power is a great example of where a company is getting very, very wealthy. A private company is getting very, very wealthy off of Alabamians. And so it isn't about taxation. It isn't about cutting those rates. Those are not, that's not public dollars that are coming in via our electrical rates. That's private profit. And Alabama Power is making so much profit off Alabama residents, Alabama electric users. It's setting records globally. And we don't need that. We don't need to have them getting rich off the people of Alabama. We need to lower those rates. And there are very clear ways that we could do that. So we haven't had every state, most states anyway, have public rate hearings where they regulate how much, how the power company is setting their rates. Alabama has not had one since 1982.
Come on, Alabama. Man, throw yourself a lifeline.
Yeah. Haven't had one since 1982. We have not looked behind the curtain since 1982.
Oh my gosh.
And I know personally that was a long time ago, 1982. So I don't have to check the facts on that. I know. The legislature, in fact, was considering a bill to require that a rate hearing be held every 5 years. I believe they were talking about 5 years. And today they killed that bill.
Oh, come on.
Today. So that would be a great way for us to make life more affordable in Alabama, rather than having Alabamians pay some of the highest electric rates in the country. Many Alabamians pay as much for their electric bill as they do for their rent.
No.
Yes.
How are people eating? How do you eat after that? Once you pay your living situation and then your gasoline and then your utility, how are people eating?
Right. They aren't. You have to think about that. I think in other places, like I said, I've lived lots of places in the country, and in other places you think about your rent as being the primary expense. And here in Alabama, people really have to think about their power bill as much as they think about their rent. Like it is that large of a line item in your monthly budget.
Is that why your light keeps going off? Because you're trying to save money?
I know, right? I just need to change my settings. It's like saving electricity by turning itself off. No, thank you.
Wow. I have a friend who, she's from Ohio, from Cleveland, and she's the mayor of College Park, Georgia, but her parents moved to Alabama because of the low cost of buying a home, low cost of living. And I'm listening to this now and I'm like, wait a minute. Is it so low? Because they get you other ways. They
Yeah.
get you other
And
ways.
we're a subtropical climate, so it's not cold here very often, and as a result, homes are not insulated the way that they are in northern places. So because of that lack of insulation, uh, you have to use more electricity. You have to keep
Right.
the fan running all the time in the summer. When you do have to turn on heat in the winter, you have to run it all the time because it's just not, these are not efficient homes. And we have not done a good job of keeping up with homes. There's very little regulation. So, you see homes that are dilapidated, homes where you can see inside from the outside, not through the window.
Oh,
But these are homes that are in such bad shape, and people are living like that and are allowed to continue to live like that in those terrible conditions. And yes, you can afford a home, but
what kind of home is it?
what
What
kind
is
of
the
home is it?
condition?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hold on to my little house up here. I always think, one day I could sell my home and move to the South, move to the southern US and get a nice house with a big, large porch and nice, dogwood trees and magnolias. And no thanks.
Uh-huh.
Not anymore. After doing these town halls, no,
Yeah.
I'm staying right here.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
just wait a few years. We're working on it, Ayana. We're working
Okay,
on it.
you know what? Once you win and you change all of this that you're talking about, then I will revisit.
Yes. Yes. I hope that before long Alabama is going to have, be a place with a very different reputation. And I see our string bringing up that issue of younger people in Alabama are very progressive. So I just want to talk about progressives in Alabama for a minute, because people
Go
think
ahead.
there are no progressives in Alabama, and there are so many. And it's not a new phenomenon. Did you know that Elmore County, in fact, one of the counties where I am running, used to have one of the largest communist populations, communist memberships in the country?
What? A red scare?
Yes.
A red wave of a
Yes.
different
So,
flavor?
yes,
Wait.
Alabama used to have lots of communists. There was a big movement of communists and socialists working together. It was also a hotbed for labor activity. Like, Alabama has been many things throughout history, and Alabama's open to reinventing itself. So, Montgomery's crest, the seal for the city of Montgomery, says birthplace of the Confederacy, or cradle of the Confederacy, birthplace of civil rights.
Which is,
And it is, both are true. We
yeah.
are both here
Yeah.
in Montgomery. The White
have to
House of
share
the
that space.
Confederacy was
Yeah.
in Montgomery. And it's
Yeah.
also where the Montgomery bus boycott happened, and the Sunlit of Montgomery March, and all of that. We are a place that reinvents itself all the time. And so the idea that we have to stay where we are right now is just not true. We can reinvent ourselves yet again in Alabama, and that's what I think is going to happen. There are exciting progressive forces in motion here.
So what do you think has to happen for that? Does it have to be a cultural shift, or do a few dinosaurs have to go off into the final, they have to be, do they
Dance
have to
off stage.
finally fossilize?
I think it is about reframing things in ways that make sense to Alabamians. And a dirt nap, that's a funny word for it. Yes, I'm sure some people are going to take a dirt nap, but I think talking about it in terms of workers' rights, in terms of working class people having more power, we have a long-standing history of understanding that, like, we're kind of rebels down here, and that word has multiple valences on purpose, right? Like, we do what we want in Alabama, and we're not about to let somebody tell us how things have to be. We're not about to let the federal government tell us. We're not about to let those Yankees tell us. Like, there is such a strong resistance culture. People here know how to resist. So we just have to help more of the population to see being a progressive as a valid form of continuing that resistance history in Alabama. And I think people are seeing it. The reason that we're seeing this push to make the Public Service Commission appointed instead of elected is precisely because the power company has read the tea leaves and can see that there's real interest in replacing the current Public Service Commission with progressives. Like, there's a bipartisan move to turn against the power company. And that's a kind of new switch, but we know it's real because they're treating it like it's a real threat. And I think we have to jump on those moments and just keep talking about how the people can rise and take control of their future, and we can reinvent ourselves yet again.
And that sounds like it takes a lot of courage. And sometimes you have to be the person who takes the unpopular position in order to get progress in your area. And I mean, I feel like people really are poised for that. They are. But then there's something that's always like, no, please don't pull us forward. There's always something. You get to the primaries and you think, oh, finally, yes, this is the day people are going to select these candidates and things are going to change. And then it goes to the November elections, and who wins again? The same people winning again. And then people feel defeated again. Like you said, people feel defeated when things are gerrymandered in the favor of one party. People feel defeated again and again and again. And I'm just wondering, what will it take? What will it take, people? If you tell me that all I need to do is vote smarter to obtain the things to help me afford groceries, afford the utilities that I use every day, afford the gasoline I use, afford education for my child, right? So we have to think about higher education too. I'm trying to find the ways. I'm looking, I'm working, I'm doing all the things. Some people are just like, nah. And I can't imagine for a place that's at the cradle of civil rights, the civil rights movement, people would be
Yeah. Well, I think we've forgotten a lot of that, sort of lost touch with that part of our identity. The history is ever present,
right?
And yet somehow we feel disconnected from it. Like it was so back
long
then,
ago.
It was a long time ago. Even though we still hang out with those people. I don't know if you'll remember the picture from when Martin Luther King's leading the march across the Selma Bridge, and there was a small girl, like a 6-year-old girl, sitting on his knee in one of the photos.
Yeah.
Her name is Cheyenne Kreisberg, and we go to lunch.
Wow.
She's still around. She's delightful. We like to sit around and complain about our husbands together. This is not ancient history. This was just the other day.
Yeah.
And when we can remind ourselves that it was just the other day that things were so terrible, but also we have accomplished things can change. And I think we have to use our own power. The world has gotten, I think in large part maybe because of technology, we've gotten so disconnected from one another that we're not involved anymore in civic life. We don't engage in that same way. And we don't have, we're not members of civic groups. We're not members of the Lions. We're not going to the Order of the Eagles. We're not
the League of Women Voters. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And in 1965, the average American was a member of 4 or 5 of those groups. On average, it was between 4.5. Nowadays, if you met somebody who was a member of 4 civic groups, you'd think, well, why don't you run for office? You're clearly a super involved person. That's not average anymore. Now the average is 0 to 1 group.
I belong to some Facebook groups.
Right.
That's where people are. They're in the social media groups.
Yeah, that's where people are.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
But those groups are not walking around the neighborhood and
No, they're
saying,
not.
you know what we need here is a speed bump. Those groups are not, saying, hey, I talked to our city councilman, and if he doesn't start doing more, we should replace him. What do you think, Ayana, about running? Like, we've just gotten away from seeing ourselves as the people who boss around politicians.
Yes. Come on. Come on.
And that's who we need to be. They need to,
Yes.
politicians should fear the people. They should
They
be,
should.
nervous every time they talk to the public
And
because
nervous
the
every time they
public
have to
holds them
run.
accountable.
Right. They should be
Yes.
nervous every
Yes.
primary.
Yes.
Listen. Thank you,
Every
Tabitha.
primary, every general,
High
every
five.
time.
Listen.
Yeah. Make politicians scared again. That's my...
There you go. Listen, if you don't put that on a shirt or something, please. Please. Okay, I got to ask you these rapid fire questions or I'm
Okay.
going to get into
Okay,
trouble. Okay. One word only. Economy, opportunity, or recruitment. What kind of question is that? Public safety, prevention, or enforcement?
These are terrible, terrible traps.
Okay, let's try something different.
Prevention.
Okay. Prevention?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean,
I don't want to choose, but,
in the real world, you don't have to. You can do both. But
That's
for
right.
this,
But
the
if I had to
purposes-
choose, I'd choose prevention.
Right. So, more state investment in flood mitigation, yes or no?
Yes.
Broadband expansion in low-income neighborhoods, yes or no?
H.E. Hopkins sticks, yes.
You already said the Medicaid expansion is a yes. More oversight of Alabama's prisons, yes or no?
So much yes.
So much yes. Yeah.
So much yes.
Should your district be allowed to set its own minimum wage, yes or no?
No. My district. I don't know.
Well, Montgomery County, what did you call it? Elmwood County? Should they be allowed to
Elmore?
set
Yeah.
Elmore? Should they be allowed to set their own? Yeah. What do you think is
At which
a
level
good-
should we be setting them? Yeah, I think it's a good question. Like, I think a city could do that. Devil's in the details on these things in terms of how they actually happen. But we certainly need to raise the minimum wage in Alabama. And I think the only reason I hesitate for my district is that, like, my district includes a couple different communities that might make different choices on that.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Let's see. Local control over local taxes, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Best Montgomery food spot to take a visiting visitor such as myself from the state of Ohio. Remember, no pork, and I'm allergic to peanuts and fish.
Capital City oyster. I know you wouldn't eat the fish, but there are other things at Capital City.
Do they have lobster? Do they have like crab, crawfish type of thing? Corn, potatoes, things like that?
Yes.
I could do that. I could do that. Okay. If your district had an official soundtrack, what song would it open with?
No pressure.
People say that I ask the hard questions. I do. I can't help it.
That is a hard one. That is a hard one. I know, like, all the words to all the songs, but I don't know names of songs. I'm one of those people. Like, I can't think of a song off the top of my head.
How would it go? Would it be like an upbeat? Would it be hip hop? Would it be dance? Would it be country? Would it be, pop?
It would be more like bow to the bang, the bang, biddy, digga, 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 da, 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 da. What's that song called? You know the one?
I believe that's what it's called, honestly.
Oh,
Bow,
there you go.
yeah,
Okay.
I think that's what it's called. Bow
Yeah.
with the, yeah.
I think it would, yeah, like if you picture, it's like the song that they always put over the Montgomery white folding chair incident.
The Montgomery Brawl. Yes.
The Montgomery Brawl.
Yes.
The riverboat brawl was classic Montgomery. Yes, everybody loves the chair.
Okay.
I have a photo with the chair. The chair itself, it's an item.
Really?
It'll end up in the archives, I have no doubt.
Was it, how did you do that? Was somebody like,
someone
has it?
obtained the chair. Someone has it.
The chair.
And they bring it to the chair and they bring it to events. I don't know that anyone can document
crazy.
that it's the right chair, but yeah, it's the chair.
It probably has some splatter on it, probably, right?
I think various people have put their initials on it at this point. It's got lots of graffiti on it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yes.
Okay. What's one Montgomery landmark besides the chair that deserves more love?
So EJI gets lots of love. I think that probably the Mothers of Gynecology does not get enough love. So we have Michelle Browder is the artist, and we had the doctor who calls himself the father of gynecology. There's a statue of him on the state grounds. State Capitol grounds. And by father of gynecology, we mean that he experimented on slave women in order to learn.
I was just going to say, I read a book with his name in it, and he did not do good things.
He did not do good things. Yes. So Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy, yes, are the three of the women who were slaves who were experimented on, and they're the real mothers of gynecology. And so Michelle Browder has this incredible sculpture garden that pays homage to these incredible women, and it's beautiful, and it's right next to EJI, and everybody should go.
All right, that's wonderful. I like that. I did not know that. So let's see what else we got here. Renters in Montgomery face rising costs and limited protections. Do you support statewide tenant rights legislation? And what's the first protection you would add?
Yes, I do. And I would start with sewage, because sewage unites us here in Alabama. We almost all have a story. I have a story. And very often there are sewage problems, and
I heard
somehow it's not the landlord's problem to make sure that there is functioning sewage system.
So whose problem is it?
It's not the city's. It's not the
city. It's not the landlord. It's not the tenant. It is the Lord.
Yep.
It's the Lord, Tabitha.
It's the Lord's problem. Yes.
That's crazy.
Pray about it.
That's crazy. What?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of straight piping. People, particularly in trailer parks, trailer park rights would also be at the top of my list, because the way that trailer trailer owners are treated is terrible. Once you get in, it's very hard to move a trailer. Once you've moved it, once you've settled your trailer in place, it's very hard to move it afterwards. And so oftentimes what they do is they give you a cheap rate on the land when you first move in, and then they jack up the rates, knowing that you can't afford to have the trailer moved.
Wow. Well, we have a question from the audience. Buttermilk, are you there, darling? How do you come up here and then go on
here? I'm on the train, but I'm listening in. Miss Tabitha.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, the Republicans do have a majority in the state house, correct? Or the state assembly.
Yes.
how are you going to make changes with them still in power? I mean, um, we can say all the things we want to do, but if we don't actually have the power to make the changes, it won't happen. So how are you going to do that?
Yes, it's a great question. I think it's a great point to note that we can't make changes with sheer force. So simply being willing to stand around and vote no on things is not enough. We need representatives who are going to do more than just vote no on things that are going to pass regardless. In fact, the Republican Party in Alabama has a supermajority in both the House and the Senate. So Democrats only get things done in two ways. One is by being charming and delightful. That's my shorthand for finding a way to talk to people and help Republicans to come up with things that are going to be smarter. And that means letting a Republican propose and take credit for a brilliant idea that doesn't belong to them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But if you want the people of Alabama to have better lives, and if you're working in a super majority or super minority situation, sometimes that's what it takes, is, wanting good things for people of Alabama more than you want credit for your ideas. And I think that's essential to making it work when you're in the super minority. The second thing is to make bad bills less bad. There's a fine art to either putting spoiler amendments on bad bills or to somehow reduce the amount of impact that they're going to have. And that's a really important thing that Democrats can do while in the super minority as well.
Thank you for that. That sounds very reasonable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have someone else who would like to come up?
All right. Thank you, Buttermel. Okay, let's see who else we got. I think Arch. Oh, there we are.
Hey Tabitha, I'm gonna show my picture so you remember me. Hey,
Hello.
how you
Good
doing?
to see you. I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm so glad to see that you're here, and I'm glad that you're running. So my question then, okay, I have two questions. Okay, one is how do we get the state lottery here, and what would that mean for Alabama, as well as legalization, finally, of the devil's lettuce, as the people would call it, and how would that also help Alabama aging population, as well as the people here in Alabama? There we go.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about lottery already. I think we can pass a lottery in Alabama. There's also potential to expand gambling in Alabama at the Porch Creek facilities or at other facilities, and use that as a source of revenue. And then I think that money should go to education, public education, not private school education. So I'd love to see that happen. Yes, the devil's lettuce, the medicinal herbs that best serve people have been supposedly legalized in Alabama, but it hasn't actually happened because the leadership of Alabama, again, has been so incompetent about putting together the process by which legal producers and sellers would be able to do that. So it's been 5 years now, I think, since they passed that legislation.
Yes,
Still
it's
hasn't
been
gone
about
in.
5 years. Yes, it has been.
Yeah.
But wouldn't the legalization of it not only help increase the aging population that deals with pain here, and also reduce any opportunities to be addicted to any type of other substance? Because Alabama does have a issue, just like the rest of America, with opioids, right?
Yes, absolutely true. So yeah, I think that is a good goal. I I am skeptical that we'll get there quickly in Alabama. But I think that we can make significant strides. And I think, thinking of it as a source of revenue is a great way to get people on board faster. Talking about the medicinal uses are a great way to get people on board faster. But it is going to take some time because culturally, people just don't have an understanding of, what are the risks. And so having some comprehensive education on that would be great. But Alabama tends to resist comprehensive education in all of its forms. And so we end up with more risky behavior. So I think that's a great goal. It would help a lot of things. And it would help with our prison population being so out of control.
Well, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So I'm so happy to see that you're running. That makes me happy. You know that me and Linda gonna be working hard for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll see y'all soon.
Step on down.
All right. Thank you. Oh, that's wonderful. I love it when the candidates have their supporters and the supporters come up and ask them questions. That is the purpose of a town hall. People, please spread the word, spread the message. I appreciate the questions from the audience. The engagement is wonderful. A little bit on immigration reform, because you've said you support immigration reform that expands access to legal pathways rather than building a border wall. How would you work at the state level to support immigrant families in Montgomery while still addressing concerns about law enforcement and community safety? As if immigrants were unsafe. They're not. They're not.
Right. Again, comprehensive education is key. People continue to believe that immigrants are the source of crime when the reality is the opposite. Immigrants commit less crime per capita than do citizens. And I think we have to just keep saying that over and over and over again and helping people to believe it. And also, really prioritizing families because we all care about children, and for whatever evolutionary reason, it's easier for us to love on kids than it is sometimes to love on adults. These children are innocent bystanders in our political debate. And I think telling those stories are incredibly important. So, I work a lot with kids in foster care, and I have done a lot of, because I speak Spanish, I do a lot of work with Spanish-speaking families who have their children taken away from them in the foster care system here in the Montgomery area. And so I have seen how it affects children and how that legal limbo that we put people into creates traps for children and for families. And so we need to be designing solutions that give people a clear path towards doing the right thing. And I think that's fundamental fairness. Like, it's only fair that we make a set of rules and tell people if you do things the right way, you're going to be okay. And instead, what we've said to people is, this is the right way. Nope, over here. Nope, over here. Nope, over here. And they can't do the right thing. And then there is no right way. And then we punish them for not having done it the right way. So I think that telling stories of families who are affected is really important, and making it clear that the economic impact of immigrants in Alabama is positive. And I think, one perfect example would be there were some Hyundai executives who were picked up and deported, and that hurt our relationship with a company that we are giving economic incentives to. Mm-hmm. Like, we're speaking in that sense, like we're cutting off our nose to spite our face. We're speaking out of both sides of our mouth, whatever you want to call it. Like, we're acting in crazy ways here when we give this company these tax incentives to come locate in Alabama, but we also deport their employees. Like, we just have to be, and in that sense, we have to be working with the Chamber of Commerce. I think very often people are uncomfortable or assume that Democrats are never working with the Chamber, as if we need to be opponents on everything. But this is a great example of where Democrats in the chamber tend to agree that immigrants are not the problem.
And you're right about that. We tell people that there are legal pathways, but they're not effective. And then when you say, well, if you want it to change, then you need to vote, and people don't show up to vote. So if you want people to do it the legal way, if that really is the aim, and I'm kind of dubious about that, for some people, the aim is just, no, I just don't want any of them here. I don't like any of them. I don't want any of them here. And so they keep moving the goalpost, even though the goal is just to not have any immigrants in the U.S. at all, which is ridiculous.
Except that I do want my neighbor here. That's always how it goes, right?
Right.
I do want the lady at my childcare center. Right. I do want my favorite waitress at the restaurant. I didn't think this would apply to them.
I want the guy who works on my farm to help. I need him.
Yeah.
Everybody else, right. It's insane. Listen, anyway. Montgomery itself is growing and becoming more diverse over time. What does a fair and effective immigration system look like to you at the state level? You really don't deal with this at the state level because it's federal, but there are certain protections that a state could provide to an immigrant population if it wanted to. What do you think? What does that look like to you?
So I think, again, the devil is in the details, and I'll give you an example. So, like I said, I work with foster care and the child welfare system, and I worked with a mother who was undocumented, and her children are undocumented, and she had a hospitalization, and so her children ended up being put into foster care. In order to get her kids back, they wanted her to work, but she's undocumented.
She's undocumented.
So, not recommended that she work, because that can violate her as she seeks asylum. If she's working illegally, that would hurt her case. Meanwhile, they're saying, but she needs to be working, or else how can she support her children? So we put people in these catch-22s where we set a policy like working is important, and then but without thinking about the fact that in her case, her status requires that she not do that, and she's trying to follow the rules, and we're creating a system that hurts her. So I think some things like that, where like we can fix our own rules to align with our policies, and let people have, again, if there's no right path to be on, how can we be mad at this woman for not being on the right path? But she's wrong if she doesn't work, and she's wrong if she does. Like, we can't keep setting people up for failure in that way. That's a very detailed solution, but there are real consequences for it. Similarly, we want kids to be in school, but if there's a danger that kids are going to be deported from school, or that parents are going to be picked up from the school parking lot, picked up by ICE in the school parking lot, then we're not going to see good attendance at school. And that absenteeism is bad for children, bad for our education system. And these are people who are eventually going to be our neighbors in our workforce. Like, we want these kids to be in school. And so we complain, and we complain that they're not learning English, and we threaten to deport them if they show up at school, and we call it truancy if they don't show up at school. There's no right way. And we can't keep setting people up for failure in that way. The system has to be fair.
And then there's no empathy.
The devil is in those details.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that if people want us to, focus on American citizens, the same thing happens to American citizens, right? You tell people, if you want SNAP, you have to work. Okay. They go get a job. They get another job. Oh, well, now you make too much money for SNAP, but you still don't make enough money to afford the amount of food you need for, say, a family of 4. So now what do?
Yeah.
You quit one of your
Yep.
jobs. So now you make enough money for SNAP, but you don't have enough money again coming into your household. So
Yep.
if
Same with the healthcare.
yep. You make too much money to be on Medicaid, but you can't afford to pay for health insurance on your own. And
Yep.
you know, the ACA was supposed to fix that. It didn't really. It's something that I feel like the Democrats still need to be working on, the Republicans too, but an expansion of Medicaid in Alabama would probably go far in helping a lot more people get insurance coverage. But in the meantime, what do, Tabitha? What do they do?
Well, so one good example would be Representative Marilyn Lands, who's a Democrat who was elected in 2023. Maybe. She was elected in a special election. She is a great example of what I was talking about earlier about when you're in the super minority, how do you still find ways to get things done? And so she got to know the other women in the legislature. There aren't many, but some of the women in the legislature, and they're, you know, it's a lot of Republicans, but she got all the women together and said, okay, what if we expanded Medicaid access for all pregnant women? Small victory. But all of those women, the Republicans were willing to pass it. She just had to, it was her idea, and she shared the limelight with the Republican.
Wait a minute. So you could be pregnant in Alabama and not be eligible for Medicaid?
Yes.
What?
Now you are. Now, if you're pregnant, you're eligible for Medicaid
But
to make sure that women are getting their prenatal care. But before, you could fall into that gap and not have any coverage and not be able to afford prenatal care.
oh, maybe I'm just spoiled. I'm spoiled by the North, Tabitha.
You are. You are. It's not a maybe. It's definite. Uh-huh.
I am. Wow. I'm so sorry. I can't fathom a pregnant woman not being able to see an OBGYN and get her vitamins and get those checkups, those very necessary things. I've had 2 children. I can't
Yep.
imagine.
Yeah.
My son's birth alone was hundreds of thousands of dollars. I wouldn't have been able to pay for that myself. I mean, that's
Yeah. And why is
okay.
it? Why is it that it's so crazy expensive? Because I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but did you know that your medical bills are all negotiable?
Yes. Yes.
Like, this is bizarre to me. The first time I did it, I could not believe that it worked, but someone told me that it was true. So,
No, Tabitha. Who's calling Tabitha while she's talking about her very important run for the state Senate? It's probably one of her kids. Probably her kid. Mom, can you send me money for food?
it was TikTok telling me that I've been on TikTok for an awfully long time now.
Oh, you have one of those
And that for my
alarms?
mental health.
Oh, this is bad for your mental health. It's okay. We're almost finished TikTok. I'm so sorry. Mama always told me.
That's right. That's right. Don't spend too much time on those things.
It's the phones,
my
kids.
goodness.
It's the phones. Wow. That is a first,
Yes.
Tabitha.
Yes.
That is a first. That really. I'm fine.
There we
I
go.
respect
Uh-huh.
your boundaries, Tabitha. I respect
Thank
your
you.
boundaries.
And you can tell I have a teenager because I have all these things set up.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Well, we'll just finish up here, so you can
Okay.
you can go unplug. If elected, Tabitha, what is the first change you would fight for that would have the biggest impact on families in Montgomery right away?
Specifically on families. That's a great question. Because I was gonna say when you first said it, before you got to the families part, I was gonna say Open Records Act laws.
Well, let's
Because those
rewind.
are
Let us rewind. Wait a minute.
yeah. Okay.
Which would have the biggest impact on those citizens in Montgomery right away?
My brain got going on it already. Yes. So I'm a big advocate for government transparency. And I think that's precisely because what we were talking about earlier about civic engagement being on the decline. Part of why people are so checked out is because the government is behind a curtain and you can't see what's going on. You can't know what's actually happening in your government. And so since people often say, like, I don't know enough to vote in that election. And it's not an accident that you don't know enough. It's not your fault that you don't know enough. You don't know enough about that election in large part because they're not telling. They're not telling you what's actually happening in government. And, a prime example of this would be, these Open Records Act laws in Alabama. FOIA is what it's called at the national level. You should be able to just ask for information from your government and they have to give it to you. I asked back in 2017, I asked the state of Alabama, the Department of Corrections, how do you kill people? How do you take people to the dirt nap? And
I too would like to know how they take them to the dirt nap.
To the dirt nap. And the state of Alabama, the Department of Corrections, you have to give them a reason why you want to know. You can't just say, because I'm a citizen and I want to know. You have to give them a reason. And I said, because I'm an ordained minister, and when a execution takes place, I like to pray about it. Mm-hmm. It breaks my heart that a person is being unalived on purpose. And so I like to pray. And I would like to know who all I need to be praying for and what the steps of the process are so I can pray for them. And the Department of Corrections came back and said, wrong, you're lying. You're an abolitionist. And the reason you actually want to know is so that you can organize people to end the death penalty in Alabama. And since you lied about your reason, we don't have to tell you.
Don't they know you can do that anyway?
They took me to court. I had to testify under oath.
Wow.
About what my intentions were. Over 2 hours that I was on the stand testifying about what my intentions were. And they got to ask me anything, all sorts of crazy things that they asked me. And it was wild. All of this because they didn't want to share how they were doing this. Because and their argument to the judge was, if we tell you how we're doing it, you're going to tell everybody and people aren't going to like it and they're going to advocate to end it.
We're paying for it. Why shouldn't hello?
If we don't like how you're doing it, we should know that. And they were like, no, that's precisely why we can't tell you how we do it. We can't tell you how we do it, because if you knew, you'd hate it. There's not even an attempt to hide what they're up to. They're saying, they're hiding what they're doing, but there's no attempt to hide their intention. They're like, we don't want to tell you because if you knew, you'd hate it.
Okay, that actually makes me want to cry. That's cruel. That is cruel.
Yeah. Yeah. And the information did eventually come out, and guess what happened?
Gosh.
We stopped doing that. Well, we invented a new method of execution in Alabama, since there was reason to think that the old method that I had inquired about was not acceptable.
You mean constitutional?
So we need access to what our government is doing. We have every right to know. As citizens, we should be able to know exactly what's going on in our government so that we can have judgment about that, and we can decide when it's inappropriate. And so I think that's, again, one of those maybe less sexy parts of politics, but so essential that we have people fighting for government transparency so that we know what's actually going on and we can complain about it. I want the right to complain about what's going on, but I have to know what's going on.
Yeah, I like that though. I read a book actually this year called The Medical Examiner's Lie. Have you heard of this book? And the subject of it is using the medical examiner as a means of covering up law enforcement unaliving of citizens. And so that was one of the issues, is that the person who wrote the book was trying to get records and he couldn't get them. He was trying to get records because the states, cities don't keep track of people who unalive in their custody. And he wanted to get these records just to count the people, just to get a count. Had to take some places to court to do it. Some other places fought him vehemently on it. And there were people who were family members who wanted to get the death certificates, and they wanted to get the records of how the person, their time in custody, what happened to them. And they couldn't get it. They couldn't get it.
Right. Not public record. How is that not public record?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Well, Alabama was at one point stealing organs from people who unalived in custody. So during the autopsies, they were removing organs and not telling the families. And families who then paid to do their own autopsy were finding out that organs were missing. And no information was available about this. I mean, Alabama's prison system is, if you want to talk about lack of transparency, there's no better example than Alabama's prison system. But yes, you might remember a documentary about this called The Alabama Solution that was up for an Oscar.
HBO. Yes, I think it's on HBO Max, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and if you haven't watched it 3 times, you need to go watch it, because once is not enough to have it really sink in. But we need transparency so badly, and ethics comes from transparency.
I agree. Well, Tabitha, we have reached the end of our time together. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And your primary is in May, correct?
I don't have a primary.
You don't have you going straight to the general election? Hey.
Straight to the general.
Hey, wait a minute. Let's do the little bounce. Well, but you still have to vote in the primary. You yourself have to vote because you are a voter. Yes.
I am a voter. I'm a super voter. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the primary for the state of Alabama is in May. Again, there's no early voting.
May 19th.
So May 19th. No. Don't show up early to vote because there isn't. It will be closed.
Nope.
Wait for May 19th. And in November, if you're in this District 26, you better, do what's in your best interest. And I think we've laid out the case for what is in your best interest. Okay? I think we've made the case. We've made the case, Tabitha. Yeah. I believe so. I'm not really allowed to promote who I would vote for, but we have made the case. So
much appreciated.
Tell the people where they can find you and how they can support your campaign, because this is expensive, honey.
Yes, it is. So you can find me at TabithaIsner.com. You can also find me at willbarfoot.com. That's my opponent, but I also own that website because I'm not above a little trolling.
When were you going to disclose this to us, Tabitha? No, I know you did not wait until the end to drop this piping hot tea. You bought the domain of your opponent, Tabitha.
Of course I did. Yes.
What?
So not my first rodeo. So yes, TabithaIsner.com. Please donate, please volunteer, please get involved. I greatly appreciate it. And I want to say, as you pick your candidates, I think it's incredibly important that you look up about your candidate a few important things. So you need to Google your candidate and make sure that they have done something for their community before they started running.
Right.
If this person has never done enough for their community to make the news, I question. You need to see if this person has supported other candidates. If they have not supported other candidates by volunteering or donating or something else, they're not a team player. Be nervous, be aware. And you need to find somebody who is able to talk with people. So who can make peace with people on their social media accounts and can turn a troll into a fan. I think those are very important ways of measuring who is going to be a good legislator. Hot tips from Tabitha.
That is awesome. Tabitha, you are, like the comment said, boss move, great level of petty. I love it. You are awesome. Okay, Tabitha,
Thank you so much.
are awesome.
You
We
are
have
awesome. This was so fun,
Oh,
Ayana.
thank you. Well, yeah, I try to have fun. I try to be serious. People say I ask the hard questions, but it's not always
Yeah.
tough questions. Sometimes, it's the banter. It's, the friends you made along the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The things we learned. Yeah.
Exactly. Coming up for us tomorrow, which is April 1st, April Fools, as they call it. No joke, we'll be here again because we're here every day. Tomorrow we have Matthew Levine, who's running for Missouri U.S. Congress District 6. That will be at 6 o'clock p.m. And Ruth Fortune, who is running for Connecticut U.S. House District 1. That is at 8 o'clock. So Missouri, followed by Connecticut. Join us here tomorrow. Again, thank you to the audience for being here, for your questions, for just being awesome in the chat. And for Tabitha, thank you so much for joining us here today. I had a really great time. I wish you the best. November is so far away. Perhaps you would like to come back before the election.
Perhaps.
And tell us, what things you've learned that you've added, how things are shaping up, how you're paying for stuff, honey. How you paying for it?
Oh, yes. Cash money. Mm-hmm. Don't put it on credit. That's what I'll tell you. Cash money.
I love you. I'm in love. I am in love. Okay. Again, thank you everyone for being here. I am Ayana Fakir. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. We have roundtables. We have one coming up on April 12th. That's when we bring the candidates that we've had previously together. Whoever wants to join us, we invite everybody. Whoever wants to join us, they're welcome to join us. We would like to invite you to join us, Tabitha, because you have a lot of great ideas. And some candidates, they kick around ideas. They share things of how to, what things they should be talking about out there on the trail. Certain things about how to pay for billboards and things, and what people you can appeal to get your name out there more. So we will invite you. You'll get an invite in your email. Our next one is April 12th. We also have one on April 26th. They are every other Sunday. We just had one on the 29th. It went very well. A lot of great ideas were discussed. So we hope you'll come back many times, Tabitha. Also,
Thank you.
You can join us on our Discord. We want the candidates and their followers to join us on our Discord. If you're into Discord, not a lot of people know about the Discord. I told.
I'm on the Discord.
Are you on the Discord?
Alabama has a great Discord. Yes, Alabama
Really?
Progress is a progressive dreamscape in Alabama. So come on down to Alabama Progress Discord server. We're talking about making all the change.
All right, we'll look into that.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you heard that, host. I hope you heard that. Join us on our Discord. Our vote counts. We're also still looking for moderators because there are so many candidates and not enough hands and heads and mouths to do this. I'm just one person. We need at least 10, apparently. So send us a DM. Let us know. We've already picked up a new person. Hello, Divine. Welcome to the team. Send us a DM. Let us know if you want to participate, and we'll do the training, all the things. You won't be in this alone. You won't have to do the research, although if you want to, that's your business. Also, once again, we are OVC. Our vote counts. Notice the new logo, y'all. We got a new logo. So if you have our old logo floating around in the, out there in the ether, just switch over to the new one. We appreciate it. This is OVC. Again, thank you, Tabitha. We appreciate you for being here. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity like Tabitha Isner, and ensure every voice is heard through education, outreach, accountability, and action. We're building a stronger democracy, one informed vote, because we like information at a time. So we thank you for joining us this evening, and I hope you all have a great evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.